Hi, my name is Kendall and I work here at MetaSpace 511 at the McGonigle Community Library. For today's Kid 2 Code, we are going to be making our own Google logos. This will be fun because we can make every letter our own character and animate them to do whatever we want. So let's go. If you're following along at home and you see a box on the bottom like this, you can click through the arrows, or if you click the down arrow, it'll hide the instructions. You won't need the instructions today because I'll be teaching you what to do, but they're always there if you need a little bit more help. So we're going to start by changing each of our letters to our own character. So right now we are in Scratch, and Scratch has its own sprites. So if we go down here and look at our letters, if you click on the letter, that means that you've selected it. And then up here in the top left, we have a tab that says Costumes. So if I click on the Costumes tab, you can see that my G pops up. They already have some sprites here that you can choose from, like frog, or sports, or weather, and there's tons of options here. Or if you don't like any of their options, you can go down here to this plus choose a costume button. It looks like a little cat. So if you click on choose a costume, you can make your letter anything that you want. There's tons of options. So say I wanted my G to be a chick. I can click on that, and now you can see that we have another panel all the way on the bottom. That's our chick. And you can also see that it replaced the G. So the first thing that we want to do is replace all of our letters with whatever we want. You can choose your own character, or you can use the ones that they already gave you. If you do want to change something about your character, you can select different parts of your character and move them around. There's a lot of controls up here that you can experiment with. There's an undo button here. If you ever do something and you don't like it, you can undo. Or if you're using something that they already made, you can rotate them, or even change some of the colors. So experiment with these characters and try to make it either a theme or something that all goes together. So once you go through and click on each of your letters and change them to whatever you want, you can see that all of your letters now look different. I chose all of the frogs that they had already made, but like I said, you can do whatever you want. When you're done making all your characters and having them look how you want, I want you to go back to the Code tab on the top left, and now we can start animating our characters. The next step in our code is to change something about one of our characters. And then once we change one thing, we could try and do it to the others. So I want you to just pick one of your letters to mess with for now. I'm going to pick my G. So down here where all your sprites are, you want to click on it. Now you're in the code area for that sprite. So if we want to change something about how the sprite looks, I'm going to go to the left here. We got all of these different blocks to choose from. I'm going to go to the looks block, and then you can see there's tons of things you can do. Something that I'm going to show you is this block right here that says change color effect by blank. So if you drag a block into your workspace and you click on it, you can see what that block is going to do to your letter. So if you look at my G, you can see that the color is changing every time I click on this block. Say I want to go back to my original colors. Right underneath where I got this block from, there's a block that says clear graphic effects. This means that if we drag it in and we click on it, it's going to clear all of the effects that we added to our sprite when we were testing things out. So like I said, if I'm clicking on it and I don't like the colors, I can clear it and then it'll go away. So I do like this block and I want to keep it in my code. So now I have to actually program it so that the sprite will do the block, which is a changed color. So you always need what's called an event block to make something happen. So here I have this yellow tab on the left that says events. And under that I have a block that says when this sprite clicked. So let's take that and drag it above our change color block. So now if you follow what the blocks say, it says when this sprite clicked, change color effect by 25, or whatever number you put. So if I click on the flag to go, you can see it starts normal, but if I click on it, the color will change. You can try doing this with any of your sprites by going down to the sprites area, clicking on one of them, and then adding the same blocks. Or, if you want to try doing something different, there's tons of things to choose from. So if I go back to the Looks tab, I could choose Switch Costume to something else. So I could get rid of this one for now, just move it to the side, and I could do Switch Costume to Chick C. If you remember, Chick C is the one that I dragged in when we were choosing things before. If you can't remember what these costumes are, you can always go back to the Costumes tab and look at what the name is. So the weather one, like this, is the moon. So if I go back to my code and I choose Switch Costume to Weather, then I can start my code, and when I click on it, it changes it to that costume. This is just the beginning of all the things that you could add to your code. So what I want you to do is try and add one thing to each sprite. If you want to do it pretty easy thing, just do the change color for each sprite that you have. So now I've added those 2 blocks to all of my characters. So let's see what happens. I press go, and now I can click on all of my sprites and they'll all change when I click on them. Let's see what the next thing we can do to our sprites is. When you're at home following along with me, you may notice that when you click the next button after you finish step 3, we have this series of options here called add-ons. So you could continue to use your code with only what we've done, which is actually a lot because there are so many blocks in Scratch that you can use. You could do tons with your characters just with what I've taught you today. But with these add-ons, we can do even more things to our letters. You can make them bounce, draw letters, make them say something, or any of these other 3 options. Today, I'm going to choose one more to go through with you guys. But if you're like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun, I want to do more, then you can, when you get to this step, choose any of these. And if it's not the one that I chose, just follow the instructions that they give you. So I'm going to do bounce with you guys. And then if you want to come back and do more and on your own, you can totally do that. But if you want to follow along with me, I'm going to click on bounce. And then let's get coding. So let's make our sprite bounce. So first, I want you to choose which sprite you want to bounce. I chose this one with the tail because I thought it would look cool. So now that you have the sprite that you want, we are going to add a different type of block in the motion tab. So on the left where it says motion, that's where you're going to click on. So this, because it says motion, is going to make our sprite move. If you were to guess, is X or Y the one we want to use? Y is the one we want to use. Change Y, because X goes side to side and Y goes up and down. And we want it to go up and down like it's bouncing. So I'm going to use this change Y by block. So if we just click on it once, you can see that it makes our sprite move up and up and up and up and up. And what we want to do is go up and then down. We don't want it to just keep going up. So now, since we had it go up, we needed to go back down too. So I'm going to use another change Y by block here. But we want to make this a negative number. So if I do -10, then I click on it, it'll make our sprite go back down. So we want it to do one and then the other, right? So if we put them together, it'll go up first and then it'll go back down. So let's click on it. So it may look like nothing is happening, but it's just going so fast that you can't even see it go up and down. So what we need to do is make it wait in between going up and going down. If you go to the control block, the first thing you can see is wait 1 second. So let's take one of those and put it in between each. Now let's try it. Now you can actually see it go up and then go down. And now, what do you think we have to do? We're going to repeat it, because it's only going to do it once, and if we want it to bounce, it's got to do it multiple times. So you can see that in the same control area where we just was, there is a repeat block. So we're going to take that and drag it, put it around all of your blocks. So everything inside of the repeat block is going to repeat, and here we have it 10 times. So let's try it and see what happens when we click on this. So you can see that it goes up, but then when it goes down and back up, it's super fast. This is happening because there's a wait in between going up and down, but there's no wait in between going from down to back up. So we want to add another one underneath here. Now, it'll wait in between everything. So now it's actually working like how we want it. But this bounce is kind of slow. What you can do is you can change the wait time to something smaller, like half of a second. Now it's bouncing faster like this. Say you wanted it to bounce more times, you can make this repeat block a really big number and it'll just keep going and going. So now we just have to add something so that this starts when we want it to. So if you go back to your event block, you can choose. You can either have this happen when you click on your sprite, or you can have it happen when you click on the flag button. So let's try that, when flag clicked. So if we stop our code and then click the flag, he'll start bouncing. You can do this to any or all of your sprites, and you can change these numbers to make it go faster or have it go more times or less times. Also, if you wanted to go higher, you could make this 50, and you could make this one -50. You can always drag your sprite back to its original spot too. If it gets too far, you can just drag it down like this. I'm going to press go again, and now it's bouncing a lot higher. So I want you to try and make one of your sprites bounce. I'm going to show you guys one other really cool thing you can do. So I'm sure that you guys might be thinking that the background is kind of plain because it's just all white. Well, you can definitely change the background if you want. I don't know if you saw, but there's a little thing down here next to your characters that says backdrops. If you click on that, and then scroll down a little bit, click on the plus, there's tons of backdrops that you can use. Like, tons. And you can look up anything you want. So, since I have frogs, if I look up pond, nothing comes up, so let's look up water. We have some options here. Or say I wanted really funny frogs, and I wanted them to be like in space. I could click on space, and then there's a bunch of things here. I'm gonna put my frogs on the moon. So if I click on moon, you can see that the background changes. So you don't just have to stop here. You can go through any of these tabs, and basically the name of the game is to, if you read the block, so if I go to like sound, start sound. So reading that block, I'm going to think, okay, so that's going to start a sound. Or if you go to the motion block, turn 15 degrees. So I know that if I put that block in my code, it's going to do what it says, turn 15 degrees. So there are tons of options for you to experiment with your Google logo. I'm going to spend a couple minutes playing around with mine some more, and I'll show you something that you could totally make up on your own. So here's my final product. I made them just do a ton of different things, and depending on how much time you want to spend on this, you could do lots of stuff. So thank you guys for watching this week's Kids Who Code. I hope you enjoyed experimenting with Scratch, which is what we are using, and making your own Google logo. I think that it was really fun, and it can be pretty funny when you make some really wacky things happen to your characters or what's happening around them. If you have any questions, or if you were wondering how to do something, you can always email MetaSpace511, and I will talk to you in the email and let you know how to do something. Or if you have a question, I can also answer it in the next week's video, so that everyone else can find out how to do what you want to do. I'll see you guys the next time we do our online Kids Who Code, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thanks. Bye.